Question of the morning, PK. It sits right in front of us. If BYU upsets Arizona, where would it rank for best regular season wins in program history? Tony, the biggest. They'd have to play a perfect game and play defense to keep the game in the 60s to have any chance. Tony doesn't think it's happening, but taking down number 4 in a road game?
Well, especially right now after the loss of Richie Saunders and just the emotional loss of what Richie Saunders represents to the BYU basketball program. The little Zoom thing that he did yesterday went on for about 12, 13 minutes, and I always try to get on, and I asked a question about the reserves. And so someone asked a question, obviously the first question was about Saunders or whatever, and he says, well, I need to address this. I'm going to address this either way. And he goes in that basically, and there's foundation pieces when a coach takes a job. Steve Cleveland, a guy like Mark Bigelow, Kelly Wesley, Travis Hansen, those guys who built up the program. Now, he had it. Steve had it, an enormous rebuild. Kevin Young didn't have to that. Mark Pope didn't leave it in the shape that Coach Cleveland had, right? But there's foundation guys, and they're your first guys. And so Kevin Young said, this is the guy who got the Kevin Young era going. And he's right. And especially now, and none of us care what religion they are, and I don't think so. But, I mean, tonight might be the first time in the history of the program they do not play an LDS guy. Again, nobody cares. It's just an oddity for an LDS school that has been like 95% of the guys used to be.
I think some people care.
Well, if they win and they keep keep the standards, who cares? I don't. I mean, some people do, I'm sure, but certainly we don't. But that's another a rung. And staying there the entire time, start to finish, without transferring. So the emotional blow of his departure and injury, I could argue, comes close to equating the talent loss. Because this is a severe blow to have somebody who really, really represents what BYU is all about now done, right? And they're going to have to get over that. So you factor that in going into Tucson, which has been a legendary program now since the 80s, since Lute Olson. I can remember. I was living there.
It's now 40 plus years.
40 years. There you go.
It's over 40.
Lute Olson with one of the greatest quotes. I'm living down there working, and he says to the people of Tucson, you better get your tickets now because in a year or two they're going to be really tough to come by. I'm paraphrasing, but that was the essence of the quote, and he was right. I mean, he called it, boom, and he built the powerhouse, and that's, Lute Olson, a guy like Sean Elliott would be his guy, Tucson guy, and who stayed. A lot of those guys, like Fat Lever, was an NBA player, a Tucson guy, went up to Tempe. They don't do that anymore. They all go down. Cole Pete, who's not playing tonight, is going to be an NBA player, Phoenix guy. You go south. That's the way it is there. Richard Jefferson. The list goes on and on. Mike Bibby. I can name 20 other guys, right? So to get this and what they're trying to accomplish, yeah, it has to rank right up there. We know that the Cougs went up to Spokane when they were undefeated.
Oh, yeah. Duran's right there.
Got there.
I'd say just behind the 2020 game when we whooped on Gonzaga, and they were number 1 in the country with only 1 loss.
Right.
So this would be, in his mind, the second best win in program
But I
history.
think this is bigger because BYU basketball is bigger. And BYU at that time, that was a shock the world kind of thing. I understand that. But it wasn't like they had a lot of attention. This is a program that had Final Four aspirations, and now everybody has reduced them. Well, will they even get to the Sweet 16? Probably not. You just said, I think they have a 50-50 chance. You said I was being generous.
I think you are.
Right. So you're right there.
Yeah.
You lowered expectations
100%.
significantly.
Yep.
I'm lowering them because I thought before it would have been about 80, 90%. But I still think it's 50-50.
The thing we haven't talked about much, and we'll get to this and it'll play out and it'll become a little more obvious, is the committee has a history of when there's a major injury, looking at the team's record from that point forward. I think they could be doing it with North Carolina. I think they'll be doing it with BYU. And so if BYU is 4-4, are they going to look at BYU? I don't know what the math would be on yet. Are they going to look at if BYU's 23-7? Are they going to look at that, or are they going to say, no, they're 4-4 since Saunders is out? Now, I think what you said yesterday carries weight. Everybody's going to want DeBonsa in the tournament. Are you crazy? And plus, there'll be a recognition that in any one game, DeBonsa can go nuts and win it. You know, if the guy puts up 40 and they upset somebody, well, we all know how that's happened. You know, a best player
and
takes
Rob Wright
over.
puts up 20, 25, 30.
Right, exactly. So it's not impossible, but when we're sitting here thinking, are they a 5 or a 6 seed? Well, if they don't, to what we were talking about in the last game, if they don't get an Iowa State when Iowa State comes in, or if they don't get a Texas Tech when Tech comes in, then how much are they going to get punished? I think we saw that the
I think I don't know they'll be punished. I think they'll be rewarded accordingly.
With a 5 seed or 6 or 7
Well,
or 8.
I have to see what they do.
Okay. Yeah.
I think a 4 is still in play if they kick butt down the stretch. I got to admit, listening to Kevin Young yesterday had me fired up. And because he made me look good. I'll tell you right now.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
How did Kevin Young make you look good?
Because I said they've miscast Kennard Davis as a stand in the corner 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
And Kevin Young said, I've done him a disservice. That's a quote.
Right.
And I thought, I know ball.
Nice. Yeah.
That's not who this kid is. But yet with the other 3 guys, he had no room to operate.
Exactly.
Now he's going to have room to operate. So we will see the real Kennard Davis please stand.
Will the real Kennard Davis please take the ball to the hoop?
Yes, that's what he's talking about. And so I'm fired up to see what this kid can do now. He's going to be Kevin Young said he's unlocked.
For a guy that loves to use nicknames, you don't call him Moo a lot.
Well, it's not his nickname.
It's not my bingo.
It's not his nickname. It has to be his nickname.
I'm just saying.
He came up with J Slow, so he used J Slow.
Well, maybe Muda.
Moo Davis.
D.A.?
You got it.
Muda?
Okay.
I don't know. Kennard Davis.
I think that as the 4th guy, we all remember when Chris Bosh was talking about how hard it was to be the 3rd guy with the Heat, with Wade and LeBron, and to figure out, like, you got to have an impact on the game, but you also got to make sure the big guy gets the ball. When you're the 4th guy, you just got to move the ball and take the occasional open shot. And so Kennard Davis Jr. is going from a spot where stand in the corner, hit the occasional wide open shot, but move the ball, and he's done that, but now DeBonsa's on the other side of the court, and he's doubled or they're helped, so it's essentially a double. They throw the ball to you, and you got one guy running you to close out. If you got time, you hit the 3.
Okay.
You
now,
blow by him.
Don't try to.
Take
I see
over.
what you're doing here. You're trying to supersede me because I'm not a basketball guy, and I got one right. Now you're throwing like 14 jargons of basketball in that one thought to one-up me. Isn't it, Yak? Isn't it clear?
First off,
you just did.
First off,
dribble, drive, penetrate. You're diving. You're flashing. You're showing. You're doing all these things. I'm trying to catch up, and I'm 20 little conveyor belt chocolates behind.
Okay, first off, that's an excellent reference.
First of all,
that scene of I Love Lucy is an all-timer. Go look at it on YouTube right now. It's hilarious, out of context with no episode. However, first off, you were wrong when you said
I'm
not
wrong.
Yeah, when you said I'm not a basketball guy. You are too.
Not compared to you.
You make good points all the time.
Not compared to you. You're an expert.
Stop.
No, I will not stop.
Stop.
I will raise my voice. I will not stop.
Well, I'm Mick Cronin. I'm about to get angry.
He should have said to Cronin, "You want a piece of me, Mick? Let's go." Cut me, Mick.
I raised my voice because you're a bleep at all of these interview sessions. Could you just be normal for once?
Cut
like
me, Mick.
300 other coaches out here.
A classic line. Cut me, Mick.
That would have been cool.
And he didn't do it.
For all the positivity, there's just a lot of doubt. Gordon, this is all a big if with Saunders out. If BYU upsets Arizona, a big if with Saunders out. But we got to talk with Bruce Pascoe here at 9:00 and find out how many Wildcats are out for this game.
Well, they listed 2 on their injury spiel.
Yeah, Koa Pete and Arista D.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're both rotation guys. They play 8 men, so they're down to 6 rotation guys.
Right, and Pete is.
But do they have someone?
Pete hit enormous shots here in pro.
Do they have someone
Did
ready?
you go to that game?
I was there, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Do they have someone ready to step up the way we're talking about Kennard Davis?
That's what we need to find out from
Bruce
Well,
Pascoe.
I'm not as intimately familiar with their team, obviously.
So good to have a beat writer on at 9 o'clock to answer these
I'm
questions.
fairly familiar with their team, but not to that degree. Yeah. I don't know because I only know the guys who play. I'm not there at practice, and I don't talk to
Bruce Pascoe on a regular basis.
Tommy Lloyd. But Tim Lacombe does, and so he'll have an idea at the bottom of the hour coming up. Because they have a connection. I have spoken to Lloyd in the past, particularly when it was at Gonzaga. So we'll see. And I go back in these situations to Coach Cleveland's first year. He takes a group of ragtag guys into the pit, and they had won something like 41 games in a row at home. Mm-hmm. And they were really good. And the Cougars, to my shocking amazement, won that game.
So you never really know.
That game, I've covered, how many college basketball games have I literally covered courtside or in the arena over all these years? I couldn't even begin to count. And
my guess right off the top was 30 games a year times 20 years would be 600. Yeah. And then a handful sprinkled in around that. So I'm not...
Right, and I was a utility guy a little bit down in California.
So I was about to say,
I did some SC
if
games.
You went to LMU when they were good.
I did.
Yeah,
I did.
So if you're at 750, I wouldn't be surprised.
Right. And regular season games? No. But that game stands out to me. I covered all of Van Horn's games. There's like maybe 2 in a regular season that I can remember. And it was right at the end. And, I can remember tournament with the Van Horn at the buzzer, obviously, and then and the NCAAs and stuff. But I'm talking a regular season game. And the Cougars, who were nowhere near the class of the Lobos at that time, won that game.
That's funny you said that because I just tried to think of those games, and what came to mind with all the wins is 3 losses. I remember Andre Miller getting mugged in the backcourt and turning the ball over in the pit, and no call to my total and complete...
Sunday afternoon. Van Horn wasn't on that team.
Total and complete amazement. Was that the team that went to the
They went to
game?
Final Four.
Yeah.
And,
okay. There was a chaotic loss in Wyoming.
I sucked so bad they took me off the beat that year.
Yeah.
Although I got back on in the tournament.
There was a chaotic loss in Wyoming, and Josh Davis cuts down the nets afterwards, and it's bedlam, and the place is the AA is full.
The guy was nude in the barrel. He lifted the barrel.
And Fresno State.
He was excited.
A rare home loss for the Utes. Fresno State hits a shot at the buzzer, and the dude tackles Tark on the floor, and I thought he broke his hip. Tark was down for a while.
And I was right there. He was right to my left. And it was a big Monday, and all the guys at Daily Breeze were watching the game, and they saw the look on my face because I had to send the story immediately as it ended, and I had to rewrite it, and I had sheer panic and terror. And they were watching, and I think his name was like Danny Young or something.
Yeah, I don't remember.
You little dude, small dude.
He was a little guy. Yeah. And it's funny, they won so many games, but you're right, the wins just all blend together.
Right.
The number of teams that they beat by 17 at the Huntsman Center goes on and on.
I'm going to be pulling my butt off for the Cougars tonight. Or
DJ
rooting
PK.
my butt off, I should say.
Tim Lacombe, 8:30. We'll talk with him, Jazz analyst for SCG Media, former BYU assistant coach. More on the game coming up at 8:30 with him. Stay with us.